Chapter 9. And the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star fallen from heaven to earth, and he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. He opened the shaft of the bottomless pit, and from the shaft rose smoke like the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened with the smoke from the shaft. Then from the smoke came locusts on the earth, and they were given power like the power of scorpions of the earth. They were told not to harm the grass of the earth, or any green plant or any tree, but only those people who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. They were allowed to torment them for 5 months, but not to kill them, and their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it stings someone. And in those days people will seek death and will not find it. They will long to die, but death will flee from them. In appearance, the locusts were like horses prepared for battle. On their heads were what looked like crowns of gold. Their faces were like human faces, their hair like women's hair, and their teeth like lions' teeth. They had breastplates, like breastplates of iron, and the noise of their wings was like the noise of many chariots with horses rushing into battle. They have tails and stings like scorpions, and their power to hurt people for 5 months is in their tails. They have as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek he is called Apollyon. The first woe has passed. Behold, 2 woes are still to come. Then the sixth angel blew his trumpet, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar before God, saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." So the 4 angels, who had been prepared for the hour, the day, the month, and the year, were released to kill 1/3 of mankind. The number of mounted troops was twice 10,000 times 10,000. I heard their number. And this is how I saw the horses in my vision, and those who rode them. They wore breastplates the color of fire and of sapphire and of sulfur, and the heads of the horses were like lions' heads, and fire and smoke and sulfur came out of their mouths. By these 3 plagues 1/3 of mankind was killed, by the fire and smoke and sulfur coming out of their mouths. For the power of the horses is in their mouths and in their tails, for their tails are like serpents with heads, and by means of them they wound. The rest of mankind, who were not killed by these plagues, did not repent of the works of their hands, nor give up worshipping demons and idols of gold and silver, and bronze and stone and wood, which cannot see or hear or walk. Nor did they repent of their murders, or their sorceries, or their sexual immorality, or their thefts.
Revelation chapter 9. 9 verses 1, 2. The star fallen from heaven may be a fallen angel or even Satan himself. He had the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit, the abyss in Greek. This is the dwelling place of demons. When he opened the entrance to the abyss, billows of smoke poured forth, as if from a huge furnace, veiling the landscape in darkness. 9 verses 3, 4. Swarms of locusts emerged from the smoke, capable of inflicting excruciating pain like the sting of scorpions. But their power was restricted. They were forbidden to harm vegetation. Their victims were those who did not have the seal of God on their foreheads, that is, all who were unbelievers. 9 verses 5, 6. Although their sting was not fatal, it inflicted torment that lasted for 5 months. It was so intense that men wanted to die, but they could not. These locusts probably represent demons which, when released from the pit, took possession of unsaved men and women. This demon possession caused the most intense physical suffering and mental torture, as it did with Legion in Mark 5 verses 1 to 20. 9 verse 7. The description of the locusts is designed to create an impression of conquest and victory. Like horses prepared for battle, they were a conquering host. Wearing gold-like crowns, they were authorized to rule in men's lives. With human-appearing faces, they were creatures of intelligence. 9 verses 8 to 10. With hair like women's, they were attractive and seductive. With lion-like teeth, they were ferocious and cruel. With armor like iron breastplates, they were difficult to attack and destroy. With wings that made a great sound, they were terrifying and demoralizing. Tails like scorpions equipped them to torture both physically and mentally. Their power, to hurt men 5 months, meant unrelieved suffering. 9 verse 11. They had a king, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, destruction, but in Greek, Apollyon, destroyer. This is generally understood to refer to Satan. 9 verse 12. The first of 3 woes is past. The worst is yet to come. The judgments increase in intensity. 9 verses 13 to 15. The mention of the golden altar which is before God links the following judgment to the prayers of God's oppressed people. The 6th trumpeter releases 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. These 4 angels, perhaps demons, had been held in readiness for this exact moment to go forth and kill 1/3 of mankind. 9 verses 16, 17. Following them were 200 million riders on horses with breastplates that were fiery red, hyacinth blue, and sulfur yellow. The horses' heads were like lions, and their mouths belched fire, smoke, and sulfur, brimstone. 9 verses 18, 19. These 3, fire, smoke, and brimstone, represent 3 plagues which kill 1/3 of mankind. Not only do the horses kill with their mouths, but they also wound with their serpentine tails. There are many unanswered questions in this passage. Are the 4 angels in verse 14 the same as those in 7 verse 1? Are the riders real men, or do they represent demons, diseases, or other destructive forces? What are the 3 plagues that are pictured by fire, smoke, and sulfur? It is worth noticing that death is inflicted by the horses, not the riders. One writer suggests that the mighty army of horsemen might symbolize some irresistible delusion of the devil, coming from the east. Hamilton Smith says, "Their power is in their mouth may indicate that this delusion will be presented with all the persuasive eloquence of speech. But behind the delusion is the power of Satan, symbolized by their tails being like serpents." 9 verses 20, 21. Although 2/3 of mankind survived these plagues, they did not repent, but continued to bow down to demons and handmade idols, lifeless and impotent. They did not turn from murders, sorceries, drug-related, sexual immorality, and thefts. Punishment and suffering cannot change a sinner's character, only the new birth can do that.